Today we talk about tentacle horror, magic bones, curses, and horror short stories. We're going to talk about what I've finished, what I'm in the middle of, and what we're going to get into. So, recently I finished the book Invasive Species by Ellery Adams, and this is the tentacle horror book. There is this town of Cold Harbor. It has a strange and eerie history. There's this woman there named Mrs. Smith, who is basically a recluse. She only comes out at night. No one's really seen her or knows too much about her. And eventually, Mrs. Smith is gearing to come back out into society because, well, it's almost time for her renewal, to renew her beauty and her youth. And how does she do that? Well, 9 human sacrifices. And I don't even know if I would say they're sacrifices because basically she hunts them down herself and eats them. But they have to be like children. If you have any weird sensitivity about children being eaten by some sort of tentacly beasts, then maybe don't read this. But if you like horror that is weird and messed up, and to see if they can stop this Mrs. Smith from, taking their kids and eating them so she can be young. It's very selfish of her. But it seems like she's like this almost old god or demigod or whatever, and no one really suspects anything at first. And eventually, it's like this one housekeeper named Una, and she's from Iceland, and when she was younger, her sister was taken. She was on a boat with her father, and her sister was fallen over the side, and when she looked, her sister was grabbed by some giant thing with tentacles, and she saw its eyes and face as it took her sister and pulled her down. And it seems like Mrs. Smith might be this thing. All right, and so she also lives in this house that's called Eel's Nest, and in her upper window she has these stained glass windows with octopuses in them, and you can't even really see them unless it storms. And when it storms, there's the octopuses also have 9 tentacles, and apparently this symbolizes something. Who catches on it? The Icelandic housekeeper, and then some of the kids, and it's up to them to try to save people. And will they be able to? What's gonna happen? It's gruesome, it's gory, it's a fun read, it was weird. I like the writing, I like the pacing. I was really annoyed with some of the adults because they're so oblivious and just stupid. I mean, that was kind of the point, right? Because they don't believe in monsters. They're not going to believe their kids if they say this, which is unfortunate, Maybe you should believe in monsters. Maybe you should believe in weird things because you can't always explain everything that's happening. Anyways, so eventually there's this regatta that happens. These 2 boys go missing, and this one girl, she kind of sees this thing that swims over towards these 2 boats that kind of got tangled in each other. And then the one boat gets pushed off into the fog because, well, maybe this creature-y thing rammed it. And then the 2 boys are taken. This other guy on the other boat sees kind of what happened, and he is traumatized after. And he was screaming, and he's all jacked up. This kid, Charles. So Charles and then this other girl, Jill, her and him and Una kind of team up eventually to try and stop what's happening. And it is a wild and weird story. And I had a lot of fun with it. Okay, so currently I am in the middle of Bone of My Bone. Follows these 2 characters, Elsbeth and Ursula, and it's in the middle of the 30 Years' War. Ursula is a nun, and she's kind of doesn't know what to do. She's way too trusting, and she's kind of stupid. And Elsbeth is got all the street smarts, and she kind of helps Ursula to survive. And what happens is they come across this dead man. He has this skull of a saint, and apparently he wasn't fully dead. And he tells them that the saint's skull wants to be reunited with the body, and if they can do that, then they'll be granted a wish. And then the skull starts kind of whispering to them and whatnot. And so they go on this journey to find the body of the saint. And then when they do, some people also want this skull, and there's a necromancer after them. And so far, I'm liking the story quite a bit. But God, the nun is so frustratingly dumb and naive and annoying. And I'm really hoping, as she goes on and grows, that she gets braver and, stops being a frickin' rabbit in headlights and effing up everything and opening the doors for zombies and just being a general Dumbo, because she is, and I currently can't stand her. But I really like the other character, Elsbeth. She's great. Yeah, I'm hoping it's one of those stories, because when I read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, I also hated the priest or guy who was in that, but towards the end, like, you know, he finally mans up and stops being a big wuss face. And so I really need that from this nun. She needs to hike her skirts up and, you know, get mad, be a soldier for her husband, God, or whatever. Hopefully that happens and I can stop being annoyed with her because right now she really sucks. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Okay, so one of my must-read authors is Nat Cassidy, and we have I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy, which is a book of short stories, and I'm very excited to read this. It's actually it's pretty thick. This is Rest Stop and Other Dark Detours. So it also has an intro by Stephen King. Also, if you haven't read Nat Cassidy is amazing. He wrote the book Mary, and he also wrote more recently When the Wolf Comes Home, which was one of my favorite horror reads from last year. It is awesome. I have standalone reviews for both of those, and I can link those down below if you want to check those out. So let me tell you a little bit about this one. There are locations in this world where the light doesn't seem to reach, where no matter how illuminated the place might be, shadows creep in too strongly to fight back. A suspiciously empty gas station rest stop in the middle of the night, littered with googly eyes. A doctor's office, where a bottle of booze and a tear-stained folder wait on the desk. A tech millionaire's haunted kitchen, a Bible-quoting ventriloquist's dingy apartment, a yoga retreat in the middle of the desert. Silent except for the screaming. These locations and more are your destination in this book, I Know a Place. And I'm very excited to read it. Like I said, a must-read author for me. All right, this next book was recommended to me by someone that watches the channel, and that is the Hearse. This is not the Hearse. It's The Curse of Hester Gardens by Tamika Thompson. Let me tell you what this one's about. A mother's last hope for her family's future is threatened by the sins of the past as the residents of a public housing project are besieged by an epidemic of gun violence and otherworldly forces haunting their very homes. Nora McKinley raised 3 boys in the Hester Gardens section of Medford, Michigan, an impoverished community divided by those who follow their faith in God and those who turn to crime to survive. With her drug dealer husband behind bars and her eldest son shot to death at 18, Nona has devoted herself to ensuring her other children escape their brother's fate. Her second son, Marcus, is on the right path. He's a valedictorian heading to an Ivy League school. He can get out. But then strange things start happening to Nona and other residents. Mysterious footsteps are heard when she's alone. People have phantom encounters in the streets. Unattended appliances go off at all hours. Even more concerning is the state of Nona's living sons. Her youngest, Lance, is hanging around a bad crowd, and Marcus becomes moody and secretive. Sometimes he even seems to act like an entirely different person. Nona has her secrets too. Her affair with a married church pastor has been weighing on her conscience. But that's not the only guilt haunting her. She fears that someone or something is seeking revenge for an act she made in a moment of weakness to protect her family, and now everyone in Hester Gardens must pay the price. And yeah, I think it sounds really good, and I am pretty stoked to read this. So we should be reading this soon, and I would think I'll probably have a standalone review for this one too. Keep an eye out for that. What have you guys been getting into recently? Let me know. I am always curious. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.